I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll do the roll call. Commissioner LeBlanc present. Commissioner Gardner present.
Commissioner Timmons present.
Commissioner Burton is on his way. He's running a little late. And I'd like to call on our attorney, Ms. Hodges, to explain to us what's going on with our Commissioner Mazzati.
So good evening, Commissioners. So to the chair, to the commission. So I have been in contact with Commissioner Mazzata, and as you all know, he submitted his resignation letter, and then there was a withdrawal sent shortly after that. I am essentially waiting to confirm some things with the Commissioner of Agriculture's office, and waiting to have those conversations with them. And so as soon as I do that, then with more finality, I think between myself and Dr. Hsu, we can give you the status of Commissioner Mazzata. Okay?
Thank you so much. All right. We can do the invocation now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Heavenly Father, fill us with your spirit and courage so that we might bring our talents and gifts to this important work. Open our minds to the task at hand, open our ears to each other, open our hearts to your will. We make this prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any citizen comments?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. Ed Slavin, box 3084, edslavin.com, candidate for mosquito control. Just want to encourage y'all to engage in constructive dialogue with St. Johns County Board of County Commissioners, especially with respect to intergovernmental relations. I know I've said this before to them and to y'all, but I think it's really important. We've got a massive amount of overdevelopment occurring in St. Johns County, and we are creating malarial swamps. We're creating mosquito habitat. And at every single St. Johns County Board of County Commissioners meetings that I've ever attended last years, people are complaining about flooding. They're complaining about it, and their government, especially the county, is not doing anything. And I know that the director and his staff and you and the staff can work with the county, maybe to put on a workshop to inform people about mosquito control, about mosquito-borne diseases, when you've got the educational center here. But why not engage with the county, and why, when they have a development application, don't they call you and send you, this is the development application, this is the land that's going to be impacted, this is the land that's going to be flooded, and we're going to be creating mosquito habitat. So as an exercise in creative, rational planning, we need to have done that 10 years ago. And so many people, when they come and they talk about their neighboring developments here in St. Johns County, it's about the water. It's about flooding. And this district needs to be heard on that. This district needs to practice good science. Excuse me. Sorry about that. This district does good science, and that's what we need at the county level. And you can help to give them a spinal implant, because they're not doing good science. We don't have a chief scientist in St. Johns County Board of County Commissioners. We don't have a lot of things that we should have, like ethics and planning and public participation. Some of the things that you do better here. So I would like to see you all have a maybe a meeting with St. Johns County Board of County Commissioners, invite them over here, or you go over there. And we used to have an intergovernmental relations committee at the county level. They abolished it under Michael David Wanchek when he was the county administrator, and that was a mistake, and I've told them that before. But if we could restore the planning function, intergovernmental relations function to St. Johns County, and by God, we've got PhDs here who know more about mosquitoes than anyone should be allowed to know. And the county knows nothing, absolutely nothing. They're cognitive misers, and what they do is create havoc. You've seen it. The overdevelopment in this county is a sin, a crime, and a tort. And I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and wish you a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can we have approval of the agenda? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all righty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And approval of the consent agenda?
I would like to pull number 7,
Okay,
and that's,
move that, okay. And beyond that, do we have approval of the
yeah,
consent agenda?
and I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but moving item number 7 to the new business.
I'll second it.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Creamer, would you like to talk to us about property values and the taxes and all that good stuff?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for letting me be here tonight. My apologies for missing the last time you had me scheduled to be here, but I had something that the rest of you probably didn't want to catch, so I appreciate you letting me come back. Tonight, very shortly, I wanted to talk with you about the property appraiser, the role of the property appraiser, a little bit about how we perform that role and what the county tax roll is as we speak in 2025. And then talk briefly about legislation that is being proposed in Tallahassee as it relates to anything from the reform of property taxation to the elimination of property taxation. And I'll certainly answer any questions that you may have as a result of that. So I am the St. Johns County Property Appraiser. I am beginning my first year of the third term, so 9 years in office. Property appraisers in Florida are independent constitutional officers, and as an independent constitutional officer, we are tasked with one role, and that role is creation of the tax roll for the taxing authorities. We have no oversight from local taxing authorities or no influence from local taxing authorities. All of the oversight of our office comes from the Florida Constitution, state statutes, and the Florida Department of Revenue. Very obvious reasons for that is certainly you don't want the people spending the money to have influence over how the money is collected. So each year, not only our budget is approved by the Florida Department of Revenue, the actual tax roll of our county and all 66 other counties are approved under detailed statistical analysis by the Florida Department of Revenue. So that is the role of the property appraiser. The way we perform that role is basically in 3 parts. First of all, we discover, identify, and map all real estate parcels in the county. In addition to that, we record ownership and ownership changes of those parcels and plat changes of those parcels. We also use aerial photography and do the aerial photography for the county to help us in that process of identification. The second part of that is we appraise all property in the county as of January 1st of each tax year. Florida is known as a January 1st assessment or lien state, meaning property is appraised as of January 1st of each tax year based on use, ownership, and condition. Florida is also a market value state, meaning we appraise based on market values. Market value is determined by sales of property. That's slightly different for commercial properties, where many commercial properties are on the income approach to value because they're revenue producing. So the only number that our office determines at the beginning of each year is just market value, and that is as of January 1st. Assessed value and taxable value are calculated. They're not appraised, but they're calculated. So definitionally, assessed value is just market value less assessment limitation caps, if any. And there are two assessment limitation caps. One is the homestead assessment limitation cap, which says if your property is homesteaded, the most your assessed value can increase in any given year is the lesser of 3% or the increase in the cost of living index as published by the Florida Department of Revenue. The other cap is the non-homestead cap, and that applies to all properties that are not homestead or homestead exempt, and that is a 10% assessment limitation cap to all other properties. So assessed value is simply just market value less any assessment limitation caps. Taxable value then is assessed value minus exemptions from taxation. And Florida offers a number of exemptions from taxation, homestead exemption being the gateway exemption to the others and the most generous. But in addition to homestead exemption, there are veterans exemptions, senior exemptions, disability exemptions, widower exemptions, et cetera, et cetera. So our office establishes just market value every year, and then we calculate, or calculation is for assessed value and taxable value based on state statutes. The third thing we do is administer all exemptions in the county. So while Florida does offer those exemptions, we are the administrator or the gateway for those exemptions. We administer in our county today about 94,000 homestead exemptions. The primary exemptions, we take about 10,000 new homestead exemptions every year on average. The peak in my term was at 15,000 in 2021, but on average about 10,000. In addition, we administer another 10,000 exemptions that are veterans, seniors, or disability exemptions that the state grants. So a little bit about the tax roll this year, 2025. We have gone through first certification. Final certification will not occur until probably April. And the way certifications work, we are required to be through with our work sometime in June. We send that to the Florida Department of Revenue. It has to be at the Florida Department of Revenue by June 30th, where they certify the tax roll or approve the tax roll for us to advance to the truth and millage or trim period. And then after the trim period, we pass that tax roll to the tax collector. Once the roll is passed, then the Value Adjustment Board meets and certifies it the first time. We go through Value Adjustment Board hearings, which will go anytime from October into January, February, depending on the number of the hearings. And once they're complete and the magistrate's decisions are handed down, any changes are put into the tax roll, and when we certify final the second time, the tax roll is then closed and we move forward into the next year. So for the 2025 tax roll, through the first certification, the total market value in our county is $90.3 billion. To put that in perspective, I've been in office 9 years, and that's doubled in the 9 years that we've been here, or that I've been here. 87 or roughly 88 billion of that, and I did put a handout in front of each of you that has this information. 88 billion is real property. Centrally assessed is 36.9 million. Centrally assessed for things like railroads, gas transmission lines, fiber optic lines. Those are done centrally by the Department of Revenue, so there's consistency from county to county. And then there's $2.4 billion of tangible personal property. Tangible personal property are business assets inside of our commercial businesses. Assessed value in the county is $69 billion. Again, that's almost doubled through that period. Assessed value is market value less the assessment limitation caps. And then taxable value this year is $59.2 billion. That's not quite doubled, but it's almost doubled. And the reason it hasn't quite doubled is because the caps holding down the assessed value and the exemptions that have been applied to properties that qualify for those exemptions. 180,000, almost 181,000 parcels appraised this year. Compared to when I started 9 years ago, it was about 98,000 parcels, so we've effectively doubled our parcel count. A number that I'll ask you to kind of keep in mind as I go into the third part of this on potential tax reform, and that's homestead exempt properties. In our county, just market value of homestead properties are $53.7 billion. That's over half of the value in our county. We are a residential county. We are a bedroom community. The taxable value of homesteads are $30.6 billion. That's half the taxable value in the county. And then commercial properties are about $7 billion in taxable value. And non-homestead residential properties are about $19.5 billion in value. On the back page of this is just some interesting information. These are the largest taxpayers in our county, largest residential taxpayers, larger commercial taxpayers, and the largest tangible personal property taxpayers. I think it's interesting to note that the largest taxpayer in the county is tangible personal property, and that's Florida Power and Light. They're our county's largest taxpayer, followed by the PGA Tour Enterprises in Ponte Vedra. So moving out of the tax roll, and the information we have there is talk a bit about legislation. This started about 2 years when the governor, through a tweet, said he thought we should eliminate property taxes because property taxes was basically paying rent on property that you owned. That made it through the last legislative session with no action taken, but this year that seems to have caught on with a lot of action occurring now, with bills coming out of the legislature with joint resolutions. And the governor has changed his approach to saying no property taxes on homestead properties. Still a pretty major impact to St. Johns County. So of the 6 or 7 bills, and there was an 8th bill that came out yesterday that have been proposed or came out of the legislature by joint resolution, they're all relating to homestead exempt properties. And we're seeing everything from a bill that totally exempts homestead properties from all property taxes except schools. The bill that passed today was $200,000 homestead exemption, so increasing the homestead exemption from $50,000 to $200,000. We've seen that for seniors, where we eliminate property taxes for seniors that are homesteaded. So there are a number of bills that have come out of the House on joint resolution that will now go to the Senate. But it would appear for the first time since 2002, there could be some serious tax reform that comes out of Tallahassee in this next session. Keep in mind that anything that comes out related to property taxes has to go on the ballot next year. Okay. Homestead exemption is property taxation in Florida is constitutional, so anything approved by the legislature, signed by the governor, has to go on the ballot. It's our belief that there will be at least one, maybe multiple proposals on next year's ballot for the reform of property taxes. Put it in perspective, each of the bills say exempt from all taxes except schools. So the schools will not be impacted. Each of the bills contains a provision that law enforcement and fire rescue cannot be reduced past, I believe it's 2024 funding levels. But if there is an elimination of homestead exemption for a county like St. Johns County, everything other than the schools, you're eliminating half of the property tax base. So to put that in perspective, whatever your budget is every year, I've not looked at that, you would be cutting that in half. County operations, you would be cutting that in half. And you can take that all the way back down the line to if you increase the homestead exemption by $200,000, you could use this spreadsheet here, or this worksheet, and calculate the impact that would have on that. So I don't know where this will go. There's going to be a lot of infighting over the next 3 months. We could even see a special session as it relates to property taxes, but from the Property Appraisers Association, it's kind of stand back and watch. And what we're trying to do is we're not lobbying, but we're trying to educate as a proposal comes out. I meet with our local legislators. Each property appraiser meets with their legislators and says, this will be the impact to our county on this. So with that, I'll stop, and any questions I'd be delighted to answer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah, they haven't outlined the, so we would be affected, it would be, I'm sorry, wow. There has to be an additional, if they cut the property, our income, property taxes. So they just haven't outlined that yet. So over the next few months, that's going to come out. And then what you're saying is that you'd come back and give us more information? Is that
If the expectation is the legislature would have a plan, I would think that expectation may be short-sighted. To the point we're talking about eliminating $60 billion in revenue for the state of Florida. and the person who began the process has yet to submit a plan on how he would replace it. So I don't suspect the legislature would, I think their desire is to push it to the counties and let the counties figure it out. So if you, and to your question, if you eliminate the revenue, there's only a couple of ways to replace it, right? One's an income tax. Income tax has to go on the ballot of Florida, requires a supermajority to pass. I can't imagine in any scenario that would pass in Florida. The other would be fees or local option sales taxes.
Sales, yeah.
Because sales taxes collected today don't stay in the county. They go to Tallahassee, except our local option tax, and then they're redistributed among the counties. So we only get like 0.8 of a cent back in St. Johns County, the last number I heard, of the 6% that we collect.
And schools are not going to be affected.
Schools are not, in the legislation proposed so far, are not affected.
Okay. Well, I guess
Dr.
it'll
Qualls?
be interesting.
May I ask a question? through the chair?
Absolutely, of course.
So this is on homes that have homestead extension, right?
Yes.
So like businesses and other properties that don't have that, they would still be taxed.
They would still be
And
taxed.
so programs like ours that are working off of those taxes, essentially we would have to increase potentially our millage rate to offset the potential 50% reduction.
Taxing authorities, one of the avenues would be to increase millage.
So to your point,
Yeah.
Commissioner LeBlanc, that would be, as he mentioned, it would go back to the counties, right? And that would be one of the ways
Yeah.
that we would potentially have to offset that.
Legislature
Right.
is just, I'm sorry, please. No.
I was just going to say, if they don't, I mean, they've got to come up with something, a sales tax, something. I mean, but we just don't know. Yeah, we don't have enough information.
Yeah, it would be pushed back. The counties have the authority now to levy millage. They also have the authority to pass local option sales tax within certain limitations. But as far as how it will be handled from Tallahassee, other than pushing it back to the counties, has not been discussed. There has been part of a couple of these bills, I will say, that says if a taxing authority does not go, first of all, it says that every year rollback rate will be the set rate, right? So your millage will roll back to rollback rate if the taxing board decides to increase their millage to a rate higher than rollback. It would take a supermajority of that board to go higher than rollback. That's in some of the proposals.
Dr. Qualls?
Thank you, Chair. Just pointing out to the board, when we had that special districts bill that went through in 2024, they capped our ability to, I guess, leverage millage to 1. So mosquito control special districts are capped at 1 for the millage rate. Right now, we're at 0.0. Thank you.
Does anyone?
That happens, we're definitely going to have to look at what we cut and how much, not a matter of if we cut, if that happens, the question is how much. It's not always a bad thing to a certain extent. So that's something we'll have to be prepared for, to meet and take a deep dive in, and sort of from a policy standpoint determine what services we are going to want to pay for with what we have.
And to put it in perspective, at a county level, this year the county will collect about $400 million in ad valorem taxes. Should these proposals pass to fully eliminate on homestead properties, that would cut that to $200 million in one fell swoop. And when you take the $200 million and deduct fire rescue and the sheriff's department, there's very few dollars left over.
I guess the coming months is going to be very interesting to see what they're going to bring.
Now in January and February are it's very important. I think that all the boards, I think everybody that's interested in this should be lobbying, talking to our state representatives, because I think a lot of this, look, I think taxes have gone up pretty dramatically because of values over the past 20 years. I don't think the local taxing authorities have maybe done enough to address that. However, a catastrophic immediate solution is not the way, in my opinion, to do that. So I think this is serious enough now that we all should be talking about it.
Anyone else have any more questions or comments? Yes.
This is the maximum rollback, which is based on the prior rollback. So I guess if you're lowering the revenues, 50%, I guess that rollback, we'd only be able to raise the taxes, I guess, by a certain amount. You really couldn't up it a lot.
If rollback is the start rate,
Yeah.
right, then, and you could only say here levy 1%, then you very easily could be kind of pigeonholed in what you can
Yeah.
increase. And rollback is defined as what would the taxing authority have to charge in millage to collect the same dollars that they collected in the previous tax year, with the exception of new construction. And new construction is given in as kind of a fail-safe, if you will, because it's not calculated in rollback. And so in our county, we're doing anywhere from $1.5 to $2 billion in new construction every year that's going on the tax roll that's not calculated into rollback. So there is some cushion, I guess is the word I was looking for with that.
Dr.
Thank you,
Dr.
appreciate
Shi?
for your coming finally here.
Thank you.
Very, very important information here. Florida Mosque Control Association started lobby lawyer. Our lobby form today said information. The next few months, we'll try to help. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time. I gave you each a folder. My direct phone number's in that folder. If you have questions, anything we can help you with, give you information on your tax roll, please call us. We'll be glad to do that.
Thank
Can I
you.
get a copy
Thank
of the
you.
handout, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you asked about corporate income taxes. We had a really cool governor in 1971, one of the governors that Henry Dean worked for, and he proposed and got the people to vote for a corporate income tax. So the corporations came back and they created something called the Limited Liability Corporation.
Mr. Slavin, I'm sorry, you don't have the floor.
I raised my hand, you
I know,
nodded.
I understand that,
You
but we
nodded.
have a new, we have a policy.
I have a policy too, not to be mistreated by you again. I raised my hand, you nodded, and he was answering my question. May I ask a question about the corporate income tax, please, ma'am? Like you let everybody else ask a question except for me. This is outrageous, intentional, and invidious discrimination, ma'am. You know it.
Right, thank you. Do you want me to?
Rescue
May I just
me,
read?
yes, please.
Not a rescue.
Yes.
And it probably isn't
This
as
is new.
clear on the agenda, so
Yes.
I would make it this change moving forward, whoever's preparing the agenda. But we do have 3 distinct public comment periods. If you look on the agenda, number 4 addresses all 3 of these, but the better way to do it so that the public is clear is to have number 4 say citizens comment for items not on the agenda, and then right before unfinished business and new business, right before, put another item in there, public comment for, and then the 3rd period is the public comment that's at the very end after the attorney's report. So so it's not as clear today, so I leave it in your discretion to, allow Mr. Slavin to talk or not. But moving forward, just to be clear, there are 3 junctures in the meeting that we give the public comment: right before unfinished business, right after we approve or right before we approve the agenda. That's the first public comment session. The second one is right before the unfinished business, and then the third one is at the very end of the meeting. And then members of the public get a lot of time to speak in accordance with the policy.
And that's all new. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to insult you or cut you out of the loop.
I'll pray for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kramer. We do appreciate
Could we address
it
the
very
corporate income
much.
tax though, please?
Pardon me?
Could we address the need for corporate income tax in Florida? Because they're going to take away our ability to do property taxes. And we ought to go back to 1971, and when the governor of Florida, one of the ones that Henry Dean worked for, got a corporate income tax approved. It was unanimous almost by the people in a referendum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lohr?
Good evening and happy holidays, commissioners and everybody else. Don Lohr with Herbie Wiles Insurance. I'm here to chat about the employee benefit programs that are renewing January 1. We received a modest rate change from Florida Blue of 6.11%. My team, we shopped the market and presented options to the insurance committee. We met in person together and had lengthy conversations about those options. And at the end of that process, the insurance committee decided to recommend staying as is for all lines of coverage, medical, dental, and life. And that's where we stand at this point. That's the recommendation, I believe, that was presented to the commissioners in the board packets.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Lohr?
Okay, well,
All right, we need a motion then to,
I'll make a motion to approve the health, dental, and life insurance with Herbie Wiles.
all righty. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the holidays.
You too. Great.
Buzz in.
Thank you.
Mr. Hannah?
Scott Hanna, NSA's Mosquito Control District CFO. Relative to Mr. Slavin's question, C corporations do pay income tax in Florida. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Not much.
It's like 5.5%. Yeah, it is. But
Minimus amount they want from.
anyways, I was going over the quarterly budget analysis, but since it's the fourth quarter, then it's kind of a year summary. I could point out some highlights, or if you wanted to just ask some questions, maybe I'll just go over some brief highlights, and then if you have some specific questions, we can address it. There's two budgets. The first one's the actual versus the final budget as amended. And then on the last page, there's a beginning budget as passed on the left column, and then the final budget as amended throughout the year. Mainly the first budget, I think, is the one that's more relevant. And I did use the as amended budget where I compared the actual to it. The only thing I didn't change was the actual in that first column is 8.3 million in round numbers. And the original, I left the number at the original budget. DAX didn't used to do this, but all they used to care about was that the expenditures, if you needed to amend the expenditures because you were short, you had to do an amendment. But as things changed, they started having us amend the revenues too. So to give you more transparency on where we ended up with the taxes, the original budget was 8.2, and we got 8.3, 8,346,765. So we got, and it always seems like it's about the same number, 101.6% of budget. And if you times that by 95%, that's the amount that TRIM allows. They give you a 5% margin for foreclosures and uncollectible taxes or changes in estimates. So 95% of the 101.6% that we actually collected, which is that difference between the 8,346,000 and 8,211,881 is 134,000. The actual amount levy, percentage of amount levy is 96.52%, which isn't bad. Now, as far as some things I think we might have we actually over budgeted for, and the amounts came under, the tax collector commissions and actually the property appraiser commissions as well. We actually had an excess
that's that, where you see operating expenses, 437,155. The tax collector gives us a big rebate, but it's kind of hard to measure. Anything that they have excess that's prorated to us, they give us back. So there's a formula. It's a percentage of what we expect to take in on taxes, and that's what I use. But in recent years, they're giving us a bigger and bigger rebate. They give us about half back. I budgeted 168,000. They gave us a rebate of like 84,000 back. Aerial emergency springs and operating expenses too, 200,000. That's something we may consider trimming back on. And then if we needed it, we could take some of that out of our contingency funds. We had a little more entomology money left over. Maybe we could trim that back 30,000. We had, I think, like 70,000 left. That's in miscellaneous supplies. Gas is something I've always thought we over budgeted because of the volatility of gas prices. We actually had about 84,000 unused. Aviation gas was actually 26,000 of that, and the regular gas about 57. So I've always thought we could trim the gas budget back. Chemicals, we actually had about 900. We had close to $1 million excess in budget, but we actually do try to keep about 900,000 to $1 million on hand of chemicals. We purchased about 652,000. We actually used 248,000. The final amount in ending chemical inventory report for September 30th was 930,000. The one thing that did kind of dilute that number is we got a DAX grant specifically for chemicals for 212,526. We did have to amend the budget. In talking to the operations manager, she wanted those chemicals available because we had actually purchased the chemicals, whether we used them or not, to get the grant money. But in keeping our formula, or where we usually try to have about 900 to $1 million on hand, it doesn't seem like that's abnormal for the chemical budget. And I think that's some of the highlights. So I don't know if you have any questions. Yes, Mr. Timmis?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Hanna.
Yes, sir.
So, just curious, part of the reason for the increase in revenue, does increasing in housing and growth play a part into the increase of our current revenue, or is it things like trimming the gas that ultimately plays a part
You mean
in
like
budgeting?
as far as us getting more revenues than we actually budget?
Correct.
Well, trim, they force us to use that 95%. So I think actually for our case, so it could be a variety of things. It could be that there were some foreclosures they anticipated on and they didn't foreclose. Maybe the person came up to speed on their mortgage. And then there's tax revenue, there's tax sales too, which we get that money. So if a house is foreclosed and then the county sells it, we do get some extra revenues for that. So I guess for us, for trim purposes, almost as long as I've been here, about 96% of levy is what we've been collecting like regularly, like routinely. It's almost to the penny. It's always like 101 point of budget, about 101.3, 101.6%. So yeah, it's things like houses that were going to go to foreclosure that didn't, and then tax sales and things like that. Probably could ask Mr. Creamer a little more detail.
Sure.
I should, email them and give you more of a breakdown.
Okay. And as we trim, does that roll over into next year?
Basically, trim has their own procedure on how they want the budget done. And then, so trim is actually getting the revenue based on their parameters. And then DAX is actually the way you amend the budget as you go. So trim approves the initial revenues, and then DAX steps in there. So what happens is we actually had our actual, and it hasn't been audited yet, and I have reached out to the auditor and I've given them a lot of documentation. So we unaudited are showing a surplus of 417,433. did roll over.
Okay.
And as amended, that goes to that, when you look at your budget, when you had the budget that we passed, and then we actually amended it in October, that goes into different areas like contingency cannot be increased because that's it's about 11% of what's initially budgeted. So that actually, the only place we can plug that to is future capital outlay. Then next year, we've got this pool of money and we just rebudget the whole thing again. So this 417,000 now becomes part of the, we've got about I don't have the number in front of me, about 4.8 to 5, no, it's actually 5 million in carryover money from last year. The actual true number after I reconcile the bank accounts.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you.
sure. Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a good holiday.
You too. Do we have any public comments?
Ed Slavin, box 384. First of all, I understood that under Florida law, a resignation is irrevocable. Now, does someone have a differing view? Has someone briefed this issue for the commissioners or learned counsel? Mr. Mazzata is not here, and he resigned in October. So is he still encumbering $400 a month plus expenses as a board member? And if so, is that a violation of Florida law? Through the chair, may I ask learned counsel to opine?
I've already
Yes.
provided my response.
I didn't hear it.
Right in the
Yes.
beginning of
Yes,
this meeting.
I took notes
So-
on it, and it made no sense. So
Yeah.
you're going to wait. You're not going to tell us that the
No.
resignation is irrevocable. So he's still in the payroll.
So I'll
Why?
just do the chair.
His resignation was actually effective today.
Okay.
He rescinded it and
He
we're
can't
not,
rescind it.
pardon,
Resignations are irrevocable. That's a basic matter of law.
well,
And
Right, so I
so
think,
we're wasting money. Again.
our
Same.
attorney can address that, please.
Thank you.
well, through the chair to the commission and to the members of the public, I've already addressed it in the sense of I have calls into the appointing authority and I need to discuss the matter with that authority before I give this body any finality on that point. So stay tuned as I get information with the appointing authority. I will share that with
That'll-
the commission.
So that'll be next year. Is that correct? That'll be next year.
It'll be at probably our next meeting. If they don't respond, she doesn't have the information to give you.
Right, but why are we slow walking this one? We slow walked, there was one commissioner who this board asked the appointing authority to remove because she missed, was it 37 meetings in a row without justification or excuse? Yes. And we lost how much money? It's our money, folks. This is not acceptable. I don't understand why this is being slow walked. Also, I'd like to know when we could have a forensic audit of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District of St. Johns County. Been asking for a forensic audit for years. We bought a $1.8 million helicopter, no bid. No bid. We're wasting money. And we're wasting time because you're not at full strength as a board. 3 of the members of this board have resigned this year for mysterious reasons. And then one of those people says, "Oh, I'm unresigning." That dog won't hunt, ladies and gentlemen, please. We're sophisticated people in St. Johns County. Ethical people, kind, educated, and we expect better from our government. We expect a full day's work for a full day's pay. And when someone resigns and we're told, "Oh, he unresigned," and there's a specific statute contrary, that's unacceptable. Thank you.
Ms. Rivera.
Good evening, Sheila Rivera, HR Generalist. I'm here to update you on our classification and compensation study. So as you know, AMCD is currently conducting a classification and compensation study with the assistance of MGT. Classification and compensation studies are important because they help organizations ensure that the workforce is structured, paid, and managed fair and efficient way, and that we are legally compliant with laws regarding equal pay, overtime, classification like non-exempt versus exempt. They help us look at our job titles and job descriptions to make sure that that they are organized and that our reporting structures are correct, and they promote transparency for our employees. They feel more valued when our compensation structure is consistent and the system is fair and objective. So due to all those reasons, we started to do this compensation study. What we aim to develop from this study is a uniform salary ranges that are based on responsibilities and requirements of each job, to ensure that equivalent pay is provided for equal work based on the position classification, and to develop a compensation plan that is equitable externally and internally, and that is also competitive. So we had our initial kickoff meeting with MGT on November 4th. The management team sat with the representative for MGT, and we discussed the timeline that has been included on your board books, as well as our specific roles and responsibilities to do with the project. Following this meeting, we submitted to MGT the list of agencies to be surveyed, and those have also been included in your binder. MGT created a share folder basically for me to upload all of our relevant compensation documents and pay policies. All the data that they requested was provided to them before the deadline. On November 12th, the staff participated in an all-hands virtual meeting with MGT, where they explained how to complete individual job analysis questionnaires. So each employee completed a questionnaire that will be used to group the positions together, depending on factors like decision-making, involvement in policy-making, supervisory responsibilities, and other factors. On November 18th, that's when the survey was sent out to all of the agencies on the list. It is currently ongoing. The deadline is December 19th, and we've already had nine agencies responded already. So that's great participation, because they were aiming for 8 to 10, and we already got 9. So as I said, as of December 8th, all of the job analysis questionnaires were completed by the staff and provided to MGT. The next step that they're going to do is in January, they're going to conduct interviews with the staff. So they're going to meet with one person for each job, and 2 or 3 people for the jobs that we have multiple, like the technicians or the biotechnicians. So they're going to meet with them and go over the job analysis so that they can better understand the functions of the job and classify it correctly. And as you can see in the project timeline provided, the survey analysis should be completed by the 2nd week of January. After that, MGT will have a couple of meetings with the management team to present their preliminary findings. That will happen in February. And after that, MGT will collect our feedback and complete a final report with a proposed classification and compensation plan. And there will be a final presentation of the final result is expected in April. Any questions?
Will this include certain metrics to go along with it?
I'm sorry, like for example?
If you're proposing increased compensation for staff.
Yes, so they will basically gather data from all of our comparable agencies around, and they're going to tell us whether our pay is competitive or under for each position. And then they'll help us also look at it from tenure as well. So they will help us develop a plan and then place our employees into that plan. So we know this employee has room to grow, this employee has already capped. So they'll make recommendations that after that, the director will have to decide whether to implement or not. But it's all recommendations.
Okay, and this will be presented to us for implementation in April?
In April.
2026?
In April, they'll say this is all, they'll do a presentation. I don't think they'll travel, so it might be me doing the presentation on their behalf. They'll provide it to me. But it'll have all of their findings, whether they're good or bad, and it'll be presented and some recommendations about how we can adjust.
Okay, thank you. My question is to the attorney, Ms. Hodges. Is this something that would require metrics as well for Florida statute?
I'm sorry, what do you, in terms of
In terms of,
adjusting the salaries?
correct, if there are raises?
No. Yeah, so that's different. I mean, the prohibition in the statutes is really more related to performance
Okay,
bonuses
okay,
that are given, lump sum payments given due to performance. Not that you can't do it, you just got to do it. For employees, you certainly cannot do it in terms of yourself.
sure.
But for employees, there are just certain things, certain triggers you have to do. But if it's just the base salary, how much someone should get paid, those are all, permissible because those aren't
Okay.
performance-based. That's just what the market deems you ought to get paid because of what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
The interview process, who chooses the employees? Do they do or did you?
We do.
Question.
Most of our positions are one-person positions, but we have some employees that want to participate. So it's basically open to discussion. I know Dina has already proposed 3 of her techs that would want to participate, but for the majority of the positions, there's only one incumbent, so that's the person that has to interview. Yes.
Dr. Shu?
Our final goal is to get the recommendation to update our pay plan, pay policy. Our current pay plan, pay policy 10-10, 10 graded, 10 step. That's recommended by former HR Director Lee County, 2015, 2016. We just moved here. Now it seems many issues. That's the way April should give a recommendation. Our improve our pay plan, pay policy, update. I don't have a fault in that.
Does anyone else have questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Dr. Shu?
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, with next year after the holiday, we have several important meetings for commissioner. I hope you have time, you can join there. First, Dr. Short calls Commissioner Caucus. That's next year talking to the representative, Mr. Philip Goodman. He said he will have a commissioner director together, share information, like some kind of. There will be in Gainesville, there will be only one day. January 29 is a Thursday. If you need to travel, you can go to Wednesday afternoon. So have a hotel, stay at a hotel one night. So they can finish, usually finish 3:30, you can come back second day. So it's also you can drive Thursday morning, but it's usually the class start at 8 o'clock. So you have to drive, take about 2 hours, drive early morning. So you hold that in the driver, come back in 4 hours. So up to you, we need to register this week, tomorrow, or next week, I'll finish the registration. The employer must finish it. Now they need a commissioner with who are going. So let me know. Commissioner Gina, you plan to go? No, okay. I know you 3 plan to go. Okay.
I could drive to Gainesville, but I won't need a hotel, and
Okay.
I
You
won't
don't
make
need
it,
a hotel.
I won't go to the other ones.
Camera team, do you need a hotel or one?
No, sir.
I'll let you know.
Okay, no problem, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know about
Okay, thank you, yeah. So that's the first meeting. Second meeting about Tallahassee Legislation Day is February 3rd. February 3rd is a Tuesday. So, but the travel on Monday, Tallahassee is a long way, it's about a 3-hour drive or over 2.5-hour drive. So usually it's a Monday afternoon, so they have orientation. So the Florida Mosquito Control Association, the lobby lawyer, and the Florida Mosquito Control, the legislation community give direction, instruction, how to lobby, and the talking point. So the next day meeting that senator and the representative, that's about 1 day. So lots of walking on the Capitol Hill. So that's very important for the tax issue. Currently, you can see that governor and some representative, some legislations about abolishing property taxes. It's definitely affect our future. It will depend. There's a major, the budget depends on tax year. So I encourage if you who can go and try to go to the meeting or legislation or start talking to them to hopefully get some kind of input from our commissioner and you are mostly elected appointed office representative residents. They do listen to you. Your meeting election officer much better than meeting us. That's okay. Just let them know who you will go, will book a hotel and make a registration. So other meetings about Washington, D.C. Florida Mosquito Control Association, we have some people told me, Commissioner go already. So the Washington, D.C. legislation meeting, this year is more challenging. American Mosquito Control Association try to help some kind of CDC and Division of Vector-Borne Disease, and some legislation, some regulation, try to help, try to figure out keep a budget. Also, some kind of issue about special district, how to get some special funding, keep a special district some funding, or some ticks that issue. The senator group very strong support, and still some argues about that. Now the mosquito is still number one, mosquito-borne disease, and the second is ticks, the Lyme disease. So we get more and more important. So we can try to help them mostly deal with the budget. Also, NIH can heard some budget cutting. So we are one of the cooperation with the NIH, university and the CDC. So every year we get lots of funding, cooperation funding. So now the same as the research funding, some cutting, so they can definitely affect something. Also USDA. So currently we have no idea what's happening. Like this year, a workshop, so 20 years, next year between 21 years. Beginning with the USDA CMAR, Center for Medical Agriculture, Veterinary Entomology, Laboratory in Gainesville. Together, we issued the idea. And the beginning in 2004, we have only 42 people participate join the training. Now we get about 300 people training every year coming, workshop, also 6-7 from other countries. Some get more people, more important. Now since this year, the USDA doesn't allow them coming here to give talking, doesn't know. So I just work the last couple of days, work the program agenda for next year workshop. To contact them, can we still get their sponsorship and use their logo and come here, give talking, share information. The research, most of the research, the applied research related to with us, can technology transfer. We are end of use. We do get lots of benefits from there. So the same, so far no idea what's going on. So hopefully they can lobby AMCD, help to push the more cooperation with the federal government to help local mosquito control. So that's the basic meeting. Also next year, November 9 to 12, so Florida Mosquito Control Association meeting decided hold in Ponte Vedra, Sawgrass. That's almost 2 years of discussion. So the board decided to hold a meeting in Ponte Vedra. So at least the 1 day, you have a commissioner day, lunch commissioner meeting, and as a local, try to join that. Now it's lucky talking to Commissioner Phil Goodman. Yeah, he will be joining our workshop. he fly in, come here, give during the dinner lecture, workshop, he will give talking about mosquito control and economic in Florida. He gave very good talking last year in Tallahassee legislation, also in the Florida Mosquito Control Association in November. He will come here to give a talk. So I will invite related to government, local government, also former commissioner and the current commissioner join the dinner and the lecture. He's a very good speaker and very important. That's history, data, very strong, yeah, good for the mosquito control for us. That's basic information. We do need, we on the budget, we have budget orders already. Just let me know which one you're interested in. I just need let me know. We can start registration, book a hotel. Thank you. Any question?
Does anyone have questions for Dr. Hsu?
Thank you.
And I believe item 7 was pulled from
Yes.
consent by Commissioner LeBlanc and moved to new business, so I think that'll need a vote, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
Correct.
can speak about it briefly. The purpose for my including originally number 7 on the consent, I wanted to move board meetings in the future from 5 to 5:30, just to make them more accessible. I know most people in this county work, so they, if they wanted to attend, they would need to come from work, and so 5:30 would be something that I think would be more accessible for everybody. I know I usually work until 5, but I'm blessed to have a flexible schedule, and so most people in this county are like me, work 9 to 5. If they want to attend, they can do so with that change.
I would prefer to keep it at 5 o'clock. The reason why we have it at 5 o'clock is for the employees. The employees are waiting around, and it makes a longer day for them. And then the other reason is for because it gets dark and it's just it's pitch black, and driving back we have more hours of dark. At least we get a chance during the during at least part of the year where we can drive home in the light. But the biggest reason was for the employees. We traditionally, we have not had a lot of people attend, and I don't think it's because of the time change or any of that. We all have different schedules, and I'm not a supporter of changing it at this time.
And I'll just add, I tried to take that into account with only making it 30 minutes. So hopefully that won't be too big of a change. I think, wintertime, we're having meetings at 5. It's going to probably get dark by the time we get out anyways.
Do we have a motion?
Public comment, please.
We'll do that at the end.
No, it makes no sense to have public comment at the end after you vote something. That's a violation of the Sunshine Law. Under the Sunshine Law, we get to speak before you vote, not afterwards. Let's get this right.
Yeah, through the chair. So I think the confusion really lies in the agenda. So moving forward, we need to make it very clear on this agenda that there are 3 periods of public comment. And so the way that those periods are supposed and intended to work, as explained in the public comment policy that you just adopted a month ago, is that there is, for example, for unfinished business and new business, it would be the second public comment speaking period that you would have right before unfinished business, and any member of the public would be able to speak on any of the items that are listed under unfinished business and new business. That would be their opportunity. But I think, again, that this agenda is confusing, in my opinion. So it's up to you as to how you want to handle it tonight. You can stick with your policy. If you stuck with your policy, there would be no opportunity right now for any public comment because that period would have passed. So that's up to you. But moving forward, if we could, through the chair to Dr. Hsu, make sure the agenda is very clear about the 3 public comment periods, that would be appreciated.
Mr. Slavin, we apologize for the confusion. Please go ahead and speak.
Well, I wasn't confused, but I think y'all might have been. Anyway, it would be good for y'all to get a copy, every single one of you, of the 500-page Attorney General's Manual on the Sunshine Law and study it and maybe pass an exam on it. Because I think this change that was made that I was not aware of does not pass the laugh test. And there's a run-on sentence in point 4. I'm not even going to read it. It's so confusing. But this sounds like what your partner from Jacksonville, what the council's partner from Jacksonville wanted to stick us with a few months ago, and we rejected that. Anyway, thank you for letting me speak. And I agree with Commissioner Anthony Timmons. I disagree with Commissioner LeBlanc. There are 300,000 people in St. Johns County. There are, 32 mosquito control employees? We outrank you. And if you look at the organizational chart for mosquito control, we're at the top. The people are at the top. We, the people of the United States of America. You work for us. And to say that, oh, this is inconvenient for employees and it gets dark, if that's too much trouble, ma'am, just quit. I really resent the inference that she made that somehow we're all in this for the employees. No, we're not. We're in this for the people who are protected non-target organisms, which includes people and dogs and horses and everybody in St. Johns County. That's who you work for. And I think Ms. LeBlanc's remarks were degrading, demeaning, and just insulting. She's wrong. It's not about making it convenient for 2 or 3 employees. They can get comp time. There's 1 meeting a month. If they can't bestir themselves to come half an hour later, which is all that Mr. Timmons' proposal, I'm sorry to mispronounce that, that's all his proposal is for us, just a half hour later. That's not too much to ask. And in the history of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District, dating back to when I first started attending these meetings, 25 years ago, we've been changing times all the time to suit somebody's convenience. We had a board member who was getting up in years, and the meetings were made to be in the morning. That'd be fine. You could do that. But to say that we should not delay our meeting start by half an hour because of the convenience of the employees? Please name the employees who would be inconvenienced in any way by Mr. Timmons' proposal. I don't think anyone would be. That's not even a make-weight argument. I don't think that would pass the laugh test. You haven't run it by the Attorney General, the Assistant Attorney General for Open Government, Pat Gleason, who's been there for about 40-some years. She writes that book, that wonderful book that y'all need to study and pass an exam on, the Florida Attorney General Manual on the Sunshine Law. And we need to go by that because this proposal, this item 4, this run-on sentence, you can't expect someone to comment after something is passed. Now, I know that's how they did it in Jacksonville, and that's how Ms. Hodges' partner tried to stick us with a few months ago. But that's not the law, and that's not the policy of the Anastasia Mosquito Control District of the state of Florida, and it's not the policy of the people of Florida in our Sunshine Law. Florida Statute 119 was adopted by vote of 3.8 million people in Florida in 1992. 3.8 million people. That's 38% of the people. That is a huge number of people. They outrank you. They outrank any individual commissioner who wants to shush us up or say that we have to comment after an agenda item. That is not the law. That is not the law. My father thought I had ESP. I don't know if that's true. He machine gunned Nazis. He was in Normandy. He volunteered the day after Pearl Harbor for military service. He helped to take back the first French town from the Nazis on D-Day before the sun even rose that day with the 82nd Airborne. So I would counsel and urge you to abolish all restrictive policies and interpretations that try to shush us up or try to elbow us aside, like our views are not wanted, like we the people in this county stopped a $1.8 million helicopter. No bill. You know how long it took us? 9 months. We came back and back and back, and John Sunderman and Jeannie Jackson-Moeller and I and Robin Nadeau and other heroic people in this county stood up and said, no, you have to have competitive bidding. It's our money. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. But we can do better. And when somebody opposes a perfectly reasonable policy because the employees, no named employee opposed it, there's no petition, there's no grievance, no one has identified any interest. And that was simply my professor, Banks, at Memphis State would say, that's a make-weight argument. It's not even a make-weight argument. It doesn't pass the laugh test. It doesn't pass the smell test. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion to make a change in the time?
I will motion.
Well, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Through the chair, is it assumed, there's actually a reference in your handbook about the time? So I'll just state for the record that this change should be made in your handbook. If somebody, maybe Commissioner Timmons wants to make that motion directing Dr. Shu and staff to put this change in your handbook, because right now, today, it says 5:00 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. I will make a motion to amend that handbook and adopt the
New time.
recently passed motion to change the time to 5:30.
I'll second.
All righty, all in favor?
Aye.
'Cause that would have been on time.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Dr.
Thank you
Shu,
last time.
Thank you. Yes, look at how we were, this year, 2023. So we have a good year. So so far, we had 2 positive center checking for East equine encephalitis, 15 positive center checking for West Nile virus. The compared with other years, much low. So we have 1 human case, no symptom. There's a third blood donation tested for West Nile virus in June. Based on Department Health report, we have 1 trouble related to dengue fever case. We don't have any local acquired cases except the 1 unique case for West Nile. So that's the virus situation. Also, our district joined the Florida Mosquito Control Association meeting. So we gave 5 presentations, and 3 students received award. I have a writing report or the email to everyone. It's a basic report. Currently, we have that start annual program report. So we will present to the board after the holiday. Also start an employee annual performance evaluation. So that's combined with that new composition start. So lots of people will join that answer question and provide a survey. So that's a disease vector education center. So last couple of weeks, we have more school visitor, sometimes 48, sometimes 42. So next week, and have more visitors, not only from Xinjiang County, also from Dewey County, from other county, has more and more visitors. So that's in the since last year, March 26th, grand open, we have about 12,000 people visited. The interesting, about 73% is the first time. So they're not only coming from Xinjiang County, from other county, even other state. Some of them saw the information and notified their stop by coming to visit. So how the most by mouth or the social media, so the Spain is more visitor. So also it's I'm not say 100%, over 95%, very appreciated, very impressed. Lots of people said, I never know the mosquito is such a big business, was such important. So that's a very good education for public education, mosquito information. Even some people told me, I never heard of the mosquito. I have every mosquito in my backyard. They collect water, feeding birds, feeding the wild birds, feeding dogs, the real mosquito. That's a real something they're learning a lot. So that's a, if you have any question, anything, during holiday, we plan to close for 2 weeks. so that still have people work on. The education center still open, except the holiday, Christmas 2 day off, and the New Year 2 day off, rest open. So that other, we have a mosquito colony, we have a fish, so we have a chicken, we have some people, technician, still back and forth to work. So it's just a different time, not like a regular year. So after the holiday, we started, everybody got back January 5th, start work. So anything, you can set information. So I'm out of town, Dr. Cole, and majority is still in town. So you can, anything, need emerging, anything, we can take care. So really thank you, our employee, that work very hard. That year, even without hurricane, lots of supply night time, early morning. Also, thank you for their work hard. Also, thank you for the support. So, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope everybody has a good holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shu. Ms. Hodges?
Hey, thank you so much, Chair. I only have a few items tonight. One of them has already been resolved because I spoke with Dr. Shu via email, and usually I would be reminding you of your training requirement for ethics under the state law to have that done by the end of the calendar year. But Dr. Shu said that you guys all did your completion of that, so that's wonderful. I appreciate that. The other thing I'll say is back to just an earlier point, if I hear back from the Commissioner's office on Commissioner Mazzato prior to your next meeting, I will certainly send that result to you via one-way communication. So that's certainly something that I can do. And then other than that, happy holidays. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner LeBlanc?
I just want to thank the staff as always and wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
A brief comment. I reached out to Mr. Weaver and Dr. Shu regarding an update on the cap on spending that was imposed last year, September of 2024, on the Disease Vector Education Center. It appears there was a donation of $10,000. And currently we are still within that limit. So that's something I wanted to place on the record and something that I wanted an update on. So I appreciate that. And from what I believe, there will be a presentation on that and projected spending and closeout costs at our next meeting. Correct, Dr. Zhu?
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Burton? Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.
Merry Christmas.